The suspect said not only free Palestine yesterday, but he said in Israel. I mean, the state charges are one thing, but federal terrorism charges are probably going to happen as well.
Yep.
Meanwhile, you have CNN saying, you had some of their analysts and then Andrew McCabe getting on air as this is happening saying, why is the FBI saying there are terrorism charges here? Why?
This random fucking psycho shows up with Molotov cocktails to set Holocaust survivor Jews on fire and children and say spam free Palestine. And they're like, why are they saying this is terrorism? Well, wait a minute. Well, we're not sure what his motives are.
They're saying it's an act of terror. Well, the guy clearly said that he was targeting a certain group. He wanted to end the Jewish state. This is why they are saying, not only did the FBI say this, but the AG has said this, the governor has said it as well. And many people are wondering, when are we going to put an end to this? The same thing that he's saying, people are saying out on the streets, on college campuses, every single.
He knows, bro. He fucking knows. Thank God somebody is saying this shit. Yep. Here we go.
Day.
Yeah, the Israeli ambassador to the UN, CatDany Danon, says this is not a political protester. This is a terrorist.
Yeah.
You had one witness, Alex Osante. He was eating lunch.
Does anybody else think about the tremendous irony that this guy is throwing Molotov cocktails and setting Jewish children on fire, and the backdrop is a pride flag? I mean, this is like some kind of like fucking skit or something. Like some kind of like weird parody. At City Hall. Yeah, what the fuck?
Inside, and he heard the screams outside, so he went out to help the victims. He said the attacker was vicious and aggressive with his Molotov cocktail weapons, but it seemed like a couple of others were actually on his side, arguing for him, which didn't make sense.
What? Who? How do you see some guy throw a Molotov cocktail and light a Holocaust survivor, 88, 89-year-old woman on fire, and then you're like, well, wait a minute. Well, why did he do that?
Hats off to the officers who made it there quickly so that they could arrest him. Dan Bongino, Dan Bongino, the FBI number 2 there, said the leadership team is there on the ground with the FBI. The National Counterterrorism Center is there, according to Tulsi Gabbard, and local law enforcement is also investigating.
But here's the thing. Here illegally. Asked for asylum during the Biden years. They said no, but he kicked it out. Then somehow he gets a work visa to stay. Does anyone interview these people?
But Brian, it expired in March.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be here.
Shouldn't have been extended to begin with. This is why Tom Homan and what the military is doing at the border and our great border patrols.
Why didn't they just go get him? Like after like a month, they're like, "Hey man, you're supposed to show up, but you're still here. Yeah, you got to go. It's past time. Yeah, you got to go."
Doing
so important.
Matters as much too.
That's what
we got to get these people who are breaking our laws. Stop telling me they belong in the community and they're one of us. They go to the blue states, the blue cities, where they can thrive, and in this case, attack.
Not just that, Brian, what Marco Rubio is doing with the visas as well at the State Department. If you don't love this country, if you're going to cause harm to people in this country, you got to go. Yeah. Let's bring in former Deputy Envoy Combat and
I think that's what they always should have done. I mean, like bringing in a bunch of random fucking foreign nationals that hate the country. Why the fuck would you do that? What other country would do that? It's retarded.
Semitism, Eli Kohanim onto the program. Eli, we want to get your general reactions to what's happening here, but a few questions about what's happening when it comes to the protest there. They're saying from the river to the sea. They're saying a global intifada, and they're saying free Palestine. What does that mean? Because these same people that are committing these acts of terrorism are saying those same chants.
They will be, the Free Palestine people will be forever lumped in with these actual terrorists because they refuse to condemn them. If you don't stop and call your extremists, you will be defined by them. And that's what's happening to them right now, is that they are becoming defined by these extremists.
Lawrence, that's an excellent question. And I think that this latest heinous terror attack against Jewish Americans by this foreign national who burned Jews alive yesterday has to be a wake-up call for every American. I call upon all Americans to now stand up with your Jewish neighbors and friends and say enough is enough. We need
I'm going to be honest, like, I don't give a fuck if they're Jewish or not. You're not supposed to set people on fire with Molotov cocktails. Anybody that thinks that's good, I want him out. You think that's a good idea, you're out. Nope. You're done. Get out. It's just that simple.
Face the facts that this so-called Free Palestine movement is in fact a pro-terror movement.
In the First Amendment, are Molotov cocktails in the First Amendment?
And we need to draw the line in the sand. There can be no longer any tolerance for this movement, which has left two Jews.
This is the problem, is that, like, I disagree with her on this. The idea that the entire Free Palestine movement is representative of a handful of terrorists is unfair and it's disingenuous. But the problem is that there are enough people in the Free Palestine movement that will make excuses and try to hand wave and hide their accountability from this. And this is what I was saying before. If you don't control your extremists, you will be defined by them. And they actively, they do not, like, it's very easy. Like, for example, like, if you go back, like, when January 6th happened, I woke up and I remember that day so clearly. I ended my stream early, and I woke up, and I saw Hassan had 150,000 viewers. And I was like, oh, fuck, what happened now? And I pull it up, and I see January 6th happening. And that's what it was, right? And I was like, yeah, this is it. And I immediately tweet out, like, this is bad. It's bad. But you're better than a time, after a time you became pro-Israel? I never was pro-Israel. I've always been pro-America. Like that's always my viewpoint. That's what my viewpoint's been the entire time. I remember it clearly too. I fucking worked there. Yeah, there you go.
Left, 2 Jews dead in the last 10 days, and now again, wow. A Jew, a Holocaust survivor, is burned alive on American soil. This is just not America.
These are the people who are fighting against Nazis, by the way. These are the people calling you a Nazi. They're lighting Holocaust survivors on fire. I know. Couldn't have predicted that one, huh?
On our values. And to that point, you know, as you just mentioned, Mohammed Salman, the perpetrator, is an Egyptian national. He was let into our country by the Biden administration. And so the Biden administration's failed immigration policies are not victimless. In this case, it is Jewish Americans who are the victims. But let me remind everything, the hatred that starts with the Jews never ends with the Jews. And so truly all Americans are potential victims for these failed immigration policies.
Ellie, I've interviewed the lawyers for the hostage families. They have got a direct line between Iran, the Hamas, and these college kids on campus who are a lot of times in their late 20s and 30s. Like,
I would have never guessed. I'm so surprised. Wow. What a shock.
Mahmoud Khalil is 30 and graduated from graduate school. They don't belong here. What are you doing? Number two is this has got to be unwound. We can't just say, oh, this crazy guy came to New York, did something, came to D.C. or blew up Josh Shapiro's house and then just burned somebody alive in Boulder, Colorado. These are just crazy people. There is direct links. That's right. And we're good at doing that ever since Al-Qaeda and 9/11. We've pulled back on that. But we got to get back to that right now and start identifying the direct line.
Am I the only person that this language makes me uncomfortable? I don't want the Patriot Act Part 2. I don't want more surveillance. And this is like, yeah, I don't want this at all. But that's what's going to happen if this keeps up. And I almost think, remember what I said before, is the government letting this happen so it can get bad enough that the people accept another Patriot Act? I don't know. I wish Kojima was here to make a new Metal Gear Solid. That way we would know. That would be great. Sure seems like a great plot.
To Gaza and Iran.
Exactly right, Brian. And look, this is part of what the Trump administration is doing in the short time that President Trump and the admin is now back in office. So what you're pointing to, Brian, is indeed the links between what's happening here on U.S. soil and foreign countries like the Islamic Republic of Iran. Look, under Biden, the DNI at that time Avril Lavigne came on the air and said that Iran was in fact funding some of the pro-terror, pro-Hamas movement on our campuses, and that perhaps unbeknownst to our American students, they were actually in touch with Iranian agents. So yes, this is absolutely correct that we've got foreign countries that are funding, perhaps organizing some of this activity.
They told the hostages that.
Yes.
They told them that in the tunnels.
That's right.
While they're being held, he says, we have links and we have supporters in America.
Somebody says 100 plus dead in Gaza, yet we're talking about 5 dead Jews being the end of the world. Our government's occupied. Who's it occupied by? Who's it occupied by? Guys, I know this might sound crazy, but it's possible to care about 2 things at the same time. Has it ever occurred to you that setting 5 Jews on fire makes it to where people aren't going to be as focused on the dead in Gaza because they've shifted the focus away to the violence that's happened to these people? Has it ever occurred to you that maybe you're making my argument for me, that this takes attention away from the actual victims? Well, you're never going to explain it because you know this is Boningo Zionist shill. This is another one, Holocaust survivor, that'll make them like 120 years old. 83. You are in your 40s. You're 41 years old probably. You can't do math? This is crazy. That's crazy, man. 41 years old, you can't fucking do math. Jesus.
Campuses. They told us that.
Yeah. Ellie, what's so disturbing about this is they were protesting. This group is called Run for Their Lives because that's what the hostages were trying to do. And they meet weekly to have these marches. They run and they walk, the organizers in particular.
Fucking idiot. Yeah, almost all of them are. The thing is that even like the people that should be calling this out first should be the pro-Palestine people. They should be the ones that are like ahead of the ball on this and like ahead of the curve and saying immediately, this person is insane, they're crazy, they don't represent us, we don't support this person's awful, we completely support the victims, and that's it, right? That's what they should be immediately doing, instantaneously.
Participants do, and they meet there in Boulder, Colorado, just to support getting these hostages out so that they can come home. And I thought last night when I was watching this breaking news, if I wanted to go to one of these marches, I might think twice now because I'm worried about copycats.
Well, that's exactly right, and that Ainsley
that's the goal of terrorism. That's why he did it. That's the point. Is they're trying to kill people that do it to scare people from doing it. That's the whole point. Congratulations, we've just defined terrorism.
Is what terrorism is. What terrorism does is that it aims to silence good people. It aims to scare all Americans from speaking up against this kind of hatred, for trying to bring attention to the plight of the hostages, which this group of Jewish Americans was doing yesterday. But look, we cannot let the terrorists win. We cannot let these foreign nationals who come onto our soil silence Americans and try to somehow impact our values. So we all need to stand with the Trump administration as they seek to deport the foreign nationals who are here illegally. We need the sanctuary city.
Not enough. Not enough. You need to be proactive. You need to be proactive, and you need to have these people going into these different areas and these spaces where these extremists are, and then catching these people and stopping them before they do this. That's the issue. Yeah, it's still not good enough.
governors and mayors to wake up. This is a wake-up call, and stop these policies, because these policies are not victimless. Again, yesterday it was Jewish Americans. Tomorrow it can be anyone. Anyone in this country could be targeted by these illegals who are here. So I would say these Democrats have to just get out of the way and let the Trump administration succeed in the policies that they're trying to put forward.
Or use this as an opportunity to combine with...
Let me see what somebody says. I like you, and what the guy did should be punishable by death, but do you believe that anyone wanting peace supports this and like they planned and supported the attack? I think that enough people run defense for this that it looks like they do. That's the problem. I know that a lot of them don't support it, but I think that a lot of thought leaders inside of the pro-Palestine movement are afraid of calling out these bad actors because they don't want backlash from their extreme audience, right? Part of their audience. Like, they don't want to anger the 20% of people that are actually in favor of militancy. And so they just kind of, are, yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Like, yeah, this is about it, right? And so, like, because, they don't want to say that and alienate part of their audience.
The Trump administration, Chuck Schumer, Jared Polis, Governor Shapiro. So how about a press conference with Trump officials saying, we got to stop this, right? Well, what would be the problem about doing that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be great if we could be bipartisan and really face
If they want to get rid of the extremism on the internet, they can just DM me on Twitter. Yeah, there's just DM me. And I could just fix it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, like, I'll tell you where it is. It's obvious where it is. You just DM me. It's impossible. It's easy. Yeah, it's fucking easy. Like, you could solve this problem in like a month. Like, straight up. Like, you actually could solve it in a month. Aren't you tired of them saying about Biden administration's fault 6 months in? I'm not even thinking about that. I think that's fair for you to say that. I don't see you say anything. Let me see if I can read your comment, because this is a disagreeer, I think. Let me see what you're saying. You are pro-USA, and that's right, but I don't see how you feel most of you react to Hamas wrong, which is fair. Well, because Hamas are the ones that are attacking and terrorizing people here in the U.S. Not really Hamas, but Hamas supporters. If the IDF was doing that, I would also be against it. I'm against AIPAC. I was critical of how everybody was jumping up, like clapping seals with like Benjamin Netanyahu coming and doing a speech here. The fact is, I see you avoid talking about the other side, even though for some reason someone inside the USA, because they're not actively terrorizing people. That's the reason why. Like, that's the big reason. If there is a Jewish person who went in and threw a Molotov cocktail at a bunch of pro-Palestine people, what do you think I would say? No, really, what do you think I would say about this? Yeah, well, anyway, like, I'll just go ahead and I'll answer, because I don't want to waste too much time on this bullshit, right? But in general, I would say immediately that it's evil and it's wrong and it's bad and it shouldn't be accepted at all, and the person should be sent to jail or deported if they're not from this country, right? I mean, like, it's literally that simple. So I mean, the entire premise that you're creating is totally a false premise. Sorry, delay. Yeah, no, it's okay, but like, no, the reason why I'm giving asymmetrical criticism is because there's asymmetrical actions. I've never said anything in favor of the IDF ever. I don't give a fuck about the IDF. And if I had a bunch of people here protesting and saying how great it was that the IDF was killing kids in Palestine, I'd say that they were disgusting. It's just not even a question. I know you stand. I'm not talking about that part. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's really that simple? Yeah, it is.
Facts that anti-Semitism, standing up to anti-Semitism should be bipartisan. I grew up in this country. I remember when that was the case. I remember when Democrats could stand up with the Jewish community and could stand with Israel. It's really sad to see how the Democrats have devolved to where they are today. So I'm with you, Brian. I also
They haven't been devolved. They've been taken hostage. They have been taken hostage by the most extreme and most radical 20% or 10%, and they can't remove them without alienating the entire party. That's the issue.
welcome Chuck Schumer to stand with President Trump and stand up against anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
We don't need any more tweets from Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
We don't need him. We don't need him to write books, exactly. We don't need prayers.
Right about that.
We need action from these Democrats. And the first thing they can do is stop their sanctuary city policies.
Yeah.
And the
Stop
second would be the
hosting.
college campuses.
Exactly right.
Thank you so much. And Ilhan Omar, if she would stand with Chuck Schumer and President Trump.
She's a lost
This is
cause.
terrorist. This is violent. This is so violent. Someone was burned alive in America at a protest.
By the way, Umbrella.
Thank you, Ellie, for joining the program.
Thank you, Ellie.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I guess
I'm
we're
Brian
going to
Kilmeade.
find out what the umbrella is.